Some of the best golfers in the world will tee it up tomorrow for the first round of the Canadian Open. Happens in Oakville, Ontario. Now, like investing, knowing when to take risks and identifying the best course of action can be all the difference between success and failure on the golf course. David Kaufman is president of Westcourt Capital, and he's also a former golf pro who spent a decade playing the Ontario circuit. So make the connection for me. What does golf have in common with investing?
There's really three areas where they're very, very similar. So the first thing in golf or investing is you have to identify your objective. So in golf, am I there to win?
It's the little hole, right?
Am I there to win, or am I there, for example, for a top 10? And that's a big difference, because win might be, second place be damned, I'm either going to win or I don't care where I finish. You're going to take different kinds of risks. Yeah. But if you need to make a check to feed your family, you're going to be a little bit more conservative. In investing, it's, am I here to get rich, or am I here to stay rich? And if you're there to get rich, you're going to obviously have to assume more risk in the portfolio to be able to achieve that. If you're there to stay rich, you're naturally going to be more conservative. So the second thing, once you've identified your objective, is you have to be able to know what kinds of risks you're taking in order to achieve those objectives. So once again, it's kind of an upside-downside thing, where in golf, let's say that you have a tucked pin over water, and you say, okay, my upside is that if I go for that pin right over the water, I can make a birdie. The downside, if I put it in the water, I'm pretty much guaranteed to make a double bogey. So that falls under an asymmetric bet, because believe me, it's easier to make a double bogey than two birdies.
Yep.
In investing, the best example would be like writing options, where your upside is limited, but your downside is unlimited. They call it, picking up nickels in front of steamrollers for a reason. Yeah. So you need to know that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but you need to know what the upside and the downside are. And finally, take the minimum required risk to achieve your objective. There are no pictures on the scorecard. If a bogey will do the trick, make a bogey, pick up the trophy, pick up the big check, and be happy. Don't try and be a hero. And investing, if you don't need 20% annualized returns, you don't necessarily need to be in small cap equities and take all of that risk that comes along with it.
So David, go back to golf pros, because that's a fascinating analogy. I like it. But isn't the truth 95% of golf pros basically starve to death at the end of the day, and they have to go get a real job at some point?
Well, I did. Yes, I mean, golf is no different than any other sport. The percentage that make it to the very top of the mountain is very, very small. Certainly the payoff is enormous. It's not like baseball or football, but it's still a very well-paid sport for those who make it. But there's a lot of golf pros out there that are going from tournament to tournament, living in the back of their car, eating at McDonald's, but they can live the dream, and every once in a while you see unknown come to the top, and that makes it all worthwhile for them, and it gives everyone else a reason to keep playing.
One of the big questions around knowing the risks associated with an action, both on the course and in investing, is really understanding the risks, right? Because there are there's some moving parts there that you may not be able to forecast. So how do you get that as right as you can?
Whether it's golf or investing, there's a moment when you have to, dive off the board and hope that there's water in the pool, because you can't possibly assess everything that's going to happen. Yeah. So you just have to make sure to do some due diligence, and to the best of your ability, try and weigh what the risks are compared to the reward.
And do you think people get the minimum risk required for the objective wrong all the time, that we always overshoot?
I would say pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's such a difficult calculus, and people's eyes get very wide when they see the big return, and they seem to forget right away about what could possibly go wrong. Well, I can tell you what, a lot could go wrong.
All right, David, good to see you.
Good to be back.
David Kaufman, president of Westcourt Capital.